So, I'm sure you noticed how 2 Samuel 6 to 7 is a repetition of First Chronicles 13 and 15, but with a bit more detail. The story is of David bringing the ark back into Jerusalem, but it's more consolidated here because they like chopped the beginning and the end and put it together. And after Uzzah is struck dead for touching the ark, David became afraid of God, the kind of fear that caused him not to want the ark in the city of David. So he took it instead to the house of Obed Edom. But then after he learned about how God was blessing the house of Obed Edom. Now at first I thought that it was now a case of, that should have been blessing for me, not him. So let's bring it in. But instead I really understood that it made his fear go, because it reminded him of how God is. God blesses those who draw near to him. So I'm sure David now realized that he had the wrong kind of fear for God. And, he relented, and then he went and brought the ark to the city of David with gladness, doing it right this time, like we spoke about the day before yesterday, with offerings, dancing and singing. Now we now get more details about Michal, Saul's daughter, who was David's wife, and how she had despised him. So she was more concerned with royal dignity and saw David's dancing before the ark as undignified and his behavior unfitting of his position. Now, she was also probably very bitter with David. We don't know why, but perhaps maybe for taking her from her husband. Remember that she was the previously married, not married, and then now married to David. And remember that we saw that the husband cried after her, so maybe they had a good relationship or something. And like her father Saul, she was concerned about the opinions of others, because she kept telling him, oh, look at what you did, da, da, da. And you know that Saul also was that kind that always wanted the people to kind of like him, or did things to please the people. David was unconcerned about her opinion and let her know just that. Now we see also that she never had children. We don't know why. Prior to now, I used to think that it was because of how she despised David, but probably not. It could have been because she and David probably never resolved the issues that they had and never maybe were intimate with each other. It could have been because David married other wives, and they had children for him before her. Who knows, right? But one thing that we do know for sure is that it made certain that no descendant of Saul will be an heir to David's throne. That was just it. Whatever reason, that was the bottom line. 2 Samuel 7 tells about how David enjoyed peace and prosperity and desired to honor God by building him a house. Now he goes and he talks to the prophet Nathan about it, and he says, do what's in your heart, the Lord is with you. But then God appears to Nathan at night to say, no, that's not quite it. God let him know that David wasn't the one chosen to build the temple, neither was it the right time for the construction. And then here we hear about, his seed, his descendants, who we know would be Solomon, who the Lord would want to build the temple. However, God himself promised David a house instead. And this house wasn't just a house, it was a dynasty of kings who would rule Israel. God promised to establish his throne forever. David's response to this was of awe at God's kindness to him. He gives God thanksgiving and displays such humility and confidence in God. To be honest, I was very touched by his words of confidence, and I could really relate, because I saw quite a lot of, who am I that you do this for me? Look at all the things that you've done for me, you see. And it was amazing. I loved it. I read it more than once. First Chronicles 17 was basically the same story, and I was looking out for new details, but I didn't seem to be able to find any. But here's my lesson that I learned about God. God doesn't respond to our prayers with a no, just because he's being mean. David asked, shall I build your house? Or I want to build your house. And God said no. But David had good intentions by wanting to build the Lord a temple, but the Lord told him no because he had his plans. And it wasn't a no, period. But instead, he said he could give David more than a house, and established a covenant, gave him a promise from that day forward. Now, even though we get a no from God, we must always believe that it is always for a greater yes. So whatever it is that you ask of the Lord, or whatever it is that you're seeking that you feel like you are not getting, always remember that we should believe God. And even when we can't see him working, we must trust that he loves us enough, not just to say no, period, but he will say no for a greater yes. Thank you for joining me today. Today's lessons were so amazing for me. I hope it was the same for you. Tomorrow we'll be back to the Psalms, and I'll be sharing lessons from Psalms 29, 25, 29, 33, 36, and 39. See you here. Bye.